they can do something crazy and take us to that game 3. And it feels like it's very rare these days when we go into the best of series that we actually get a fully competitive, split. It's a case of 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-0. You're thinking, at what point do we always get that game that takes us to the distance?
Yes, I want more than anything to have a game 3. It's been so long. I think almost every single game in the past 3 or 4 weeks has been a 2-0. So very rare to see, and Aldor going to be completely fine as he can put that point in the W if he is going to get caught out. So you have to walk this one off. Just cop a bit of poke. But the main thing is Antic are in the enemy jungle, right? They can walk up, they can get vision control, and they can maintain this this control top side. And if Foreigner wants to cross back to his blue buff and fight Viego on that blue, he absolutely can.
They certainly can, and it's much to your point, right? You'd like to see Antic get aggressive with the level 1 strategy that they have and possess in comparison to Bliss, who are playing so defensive. Look at Violet's positioning there, making sure that we do not get cheesed by that classic run to lane and just lose all your HP by the time you reach your tower. If they spotted it, and do they have an answer for it? Is it as simple as saying, just hide behind the minion wave, and there you go.
And they do know that there was pings going onto that bush, so they are respecting that one. Walking in with the wave, which means Nordis cannot land that dredge line onto Violet as he walks to lane. But we should be seeing priority in most of these lanes for Antic based on their matchups. Minus top lane is going to be that airy cannon, very strong in the early game. But one of the strengths of this Tristana, with that second win, with the absorb life, with the fleet, you can absorb so much of that damage coming out of these mages because you do not want to spend all your mana harassing champions when, 1 Q equals 1 auto attack and all of a sudden you heal that damage back.
Yeah, look, that doesn't feel good. It certainly doesn't feel good, and there's a big reason, I'm sure, why Riot looked to try and remove some of that sustain earlier on in the year, but it's back, and in still a very frustrating way. You can see that Antic certainly have had the better front foot start here in both mid as well as bot, and maybe even more prevalent in the bot lane as Violet and Eladora are being pushed so far back, chugging through all those potions.
Different look from the Antic bot lane this time. They do have, the Ezreal against the Azeri, so there is no combat power coming out of the Azeri in the early game. This is a champion who you really want to scale up, get that first item before really anything can really happen in your lane. You just do not have base damage, and the fact that, Dracu can block your auto attacks. He just stands there with his big, meaty body, absorbs all that damage, and all of a sudden, you're getting traded on because there's a press the attack Ezreal who can do damage in return while you can't.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, if the spot lane works in Antic's favor, certainly they can find that cheap item spike before the Zeri does come online. But hang on a minute, this could be a dicey one. Arcane Shift will be burnt, the Flash burnt too, and in a sitting duck for Kevin to rock up to the lane. Yeah, you can hit that barrier, but I've been exhausted. But as that expires, so do you. And First Blood against the play goes in favor of Bliss.
Such unfortunate timing there by Destiny. Throws the Arcane Shift as he wants to trade aggressively, but, doesn't hold his flash to react to that flash coming out of Kevy. Throws that one preemptively to create space, but Kevy's going to be able to solo kill him out and find himself that First Blood, and that's just a really nice, play by Bliss. We're not used to seeing these junglers like the 80 junglers who do go for those early ganks, and it's just a bit of unfamiliarity with Destiny right now.
So classic it was all of last split, right? Where it was the case of AD jungler, level 3, dive bot, win the game. And it really was as simple as that. And I'm quite curious to see how this one plays out now as a result, given that it is going to be the speed-clearing demon in the Karthus that we've already witnessed at great lengths tonight up against Viego, that no doubt is going to be looking to try and get rich from just gank, because you're not going to be able to keep tempo with the Karthus.
Yeah, that's the main thing, but you don't really worry. You just allow Karthus to do his own thing, right? Because he may have camp leads, he may have like a 400 or 500 gold lead just from his clear speed, but when it's come to those skirmishes, Viego's always going to be much stronger, and especially if he does find that, stun onto the Karthus, because he's a champion who can get blown up, especially pairing that up with the likes of an Orianna Shockwave or, a Cannonball on the other side.
Nice reaction time from both Harry as well as Dracu to try and start the fight off in their favor. Linking up with his old teammate in the bot lane to find a bit of volatility in their favor. Now an Orianna without a flash. Raze also with the luxury of a rocket jump gets to hold onto his own. So another sign of gankless lane. That is a lane and die need.
This is a very important time for Antic though. With that flash being down on Harry, they have that, that 5-minute window to kill him, right? It's not going to come out of Foreigner because, he's Karthus, he doesn't really want to walk into that lane and find himself in that 2v2 position. It's going to be on windows that Dracu can create from this 2v2 and bowling to re-gank mid and find that kill with Raze. Raze can create that volatile health, levels just from jumping forward and finding these trades, but he needs his team to back him up.
I like this here from Kevy. Just going to feign some aggression with potential gank topside. Recalling on the brush, but obviously Zoranus doesn't know that. And he's going to have to pay respect to that Spectral Mist as he gets zoned away from this wave as Bio's looking to try and freeze it, it would seem. Just last hitting Very close to his own tower.
Yeah, Zoran is just doing the classic, like, I gotta, play in the bush. He's getting the experience though, and that's that major thing, right? He's never gonna get an ideal first recall against the cannon because it's just so hard to deal with this champion in the early game. But he does get himself an item. He's gonna walk back to lane, be able to... Oh, actually going for the lane swap, Skimmy. Okay, so this is very interesting. So we see that he did buy the chain vest. Not an item you would run into the cannon, but buying that chain vest, which means the Viego and the Zeri, much harder time diving him, right, in the 3v1. Zeri not a champion who's very known for being a very good on these dives. So nice practice swap from Antic and the item buy coming out of this team. 6 minutes with that grub spawning, going to be a very easy pickup for them.
It's quite interesting to see that they would make that one happen so early on, given how well Antic were doing in the bot lane and wanting to turn that one around. Nicely done there by Raze to hit the insect as the Tristana on towards Harry without that flash, but the follow-up was certainly lacking to turn around the shockwave, fantastically buffered out there by the rocket jump. And both mid laners, the ones that were the focus, well, they live to fight another day.
And this might mean that they can contest this objective now. Foreigner very low on mana. Raze deciding to take all these lemons because, you can sustain these jungle camps as the Cartus thanks to, how much mana regen you do get in the camp. But 1v1 left on the bot side for Violet means he's going to be getting a lot of solid experience in Kevi. Wants to contest this one, but there's no shockwave coming out of Harry right now.
Exactly, looking to try and bait. Hex Flash from the brush, and not a bit enough more than he can chew here. Instantly dropped down to 50%, maybe some instant regret as a result of that one. But in comes Biopanther, the exhaust, it's nice. It prevents a bucket load of upfront bursts, but it doesn't prevent the kill. And it will be the grubs denied, or at least one with the kill to boot.
2 grubs going to Antic, 1 to Bliss, and the flash ult from Bio. That's that major advantage because the solo laner from Bio will have more experience than Destiny. Does not have that level 6 yet, does not have the True Shot Barrage, which probably won't even change what that is going to look like right now, even though he was getting solo experience on that top side. Big winner out of all this, though, is Violet, because, he was allowed free time in that bot side, and Zeri, such a hard scaling champion, is getting so much experience by herself in that bot lane.
Certainly is a big talking point, how far ahead these AD carries can get, but yeah, the initial play to try and take down Dragku, it feels a little bit dicey to say the least, inviting all that pressure into a concentrated space, and that really is the dream scenario for a Kennen to find himself in.
So they are continuing to play these lane swaps, Skimmy. They really don't want to, put Cassandra in this bad matchup, but I think that it's very hard to dive this lane, right? We're not seeing Foreigner anywhere near this. They're just constantly playing the 2v1. 3 members from Bliss on the top side here, and Antic could find himself in trouble, especially with no backup. There is a TP from Zoranus, though. If they do, play too aggressive, overextend, he does have that one he can throw onto the turret. It is not 10 minutes yet, but this is a very nice situation for the members of not Bliss, as Harry is going to exploit that one.
I like how you catch yourself mid-conversation. Well, it's not going to be good for him, and right you are, Raze basically committing everything, knowing that Requiem was coming there afterwards. That's a flash, and that might be Cassante getting away in the end. Is he covered enough space? No, because Violet ice skates across the wall and takes him down in isolation.
And that's a solo kill to the AD carry onto the top laner. Zeri is just not a good early champion. Finding a solo kill with only Berserkeries is such a godsend for Violet in the spot lane. His scaling is very accelerated right now. Is not going to go for any plates on the bot side because he knows Zoranus does have that TP. Gonna base and can even play the match right now, but more fighting happening, Skimmy.
Certainly is more fighting. Always the case, isn't it, in the LCO? You make a great point and they say, you know what, Tally? Just be quiet for a second, because we want to go again. And then you try to figure out, well, what do I talk about now? What is even worth breaking down as a result? Flash, back up and available in for Harry. That chance to take him down. They had a crack, but they weren't successful. They'll have to try and burn that one yet again, as he's going to crash in a massive wave to get some plates too. And with 1 grub and a dragon, it's going to be familiar territory for Bliss at the 10-minute mark. They're already up yet again by 1,500.
Yeah, this is just, such a similar story we're used to seeing from Bliss. They're very good at getting these early leads. I would say even better than Round Zero in some games, but it's the translation that we're really missing from this roster, right? I think last game they did a really good job. They didn't really throw the early game lead they did fine. Besides, Violet would do that one misplay in the mid lane, but everyone gets one, right? So I think that this team has done a good job to, work on translating their mid-game problems that they have been having in those recent weeks. So really nice to see from them, but I also think that Antic right now in a much better position than they were in that first game. Even though I've seen Violet be really scary right now, Raze is having a much better time in this 1v1, and as the time does go on, when he does finally get that Kraken Slayer, when he does get to that side lane, it's so much more favorable for him.
Well, that's it, because Frono has been still quietly achieving. We always talk about the first ultimate needing to find success, and the first one getting a kill was certainly all you could ask for. Might be another kill on the cards here as everything comes together, and he was so close to the wall, so close to escaping, but not close enough.
The disrespect out of Violet there, playing up on that 2v1 with no flash against Dracu, who is, you know, a player we know, not known, or who is not afraid to throw the load at the enemy and find any kills when you disrespect him. So a really nice shutdown onto Destiny, which completely swings the bot lane dynamic. And if, you know, their one weak point for their team right now has been sealed up, I think the only really major pain point for Antic right now is that top side.
Certainly is, yeah. The Cassante is lagging behind and is still forced to contend with this Kennen in the hands of Biopanther that is putting in work so far, consistently keeping the wave against him, making sure that he's only able to pick up the farm, not even the gold, which is certainly not the place you want to be at if you want to, you know, really emulate that Cassante copy passer. Right back to lane we go then, and Violet straight onto Destiny, drops him low, down to 50%. Foreigner gets caught between every bit of action and will die in the end. And yeah, the Requiem's going to be held on this occasion.
No flash on Foreigner there, so he gets caught out of position because they were forced to split up from the initial collapse. So flash coming in from Kevy will find themselves the dragon, but with the raise coming out of Rome coming out of raise onto Fire on the top side, no flash this time on the cannon.
What can he do though? Can he get himself out of this one? There goes the shield. There is the command protect, shockwave, Requiem. Oh, it's low. It's very low, but it's not enough. Even with the Leandri, he's ticking him down. He's got enough resistance to say, hey, we can nearly play cleanup. Look at Raze, that buster shot just in the nick of time. Or that play would have gone completely sideways.
Yeah, I think a bit of a misplay from Raze there. Flashes into the cannon ult, or maybe doesn't really hold his damage until that cannon ult drops off. Where, you know, cannon gets a lot of resistance is when that ult is online, and you do get stunned yourself when you stand inside that Maelstrom. So can't find the kill onto Biopanther. He doesn't have his flash, so with that one coming back off cooldown now, as soon as that ult comes off cooldown for Bio, all of a sudden that gank almost never happened.
Yeah, completely forgot about it, really, doesn't it? And it's, once again, another chance for Violet to say, well, whilst the rest of my team gets active on the map, I'll just continue to fail, continue to scale. I guess you could say that's a bit of a fail, because you're just not doing too much in the early game. He's scaling, he's got all this free solo experience, he's going to find himself a tower as a result as well.
Dracu?
And then we wonder, what is Dracu cooking up this time? He finds two, he tells Raze, are you interested? He says, probably not. Hits the knock onto two, gets hit by the Heartbreaker, and then dies as a result. Kevy snatches his body, missed the hook, and raises in and out like a heist. It's lovely to see here as Zonas tries to line up the angle, but he doesn't have all-out modes. So he's just a little bit too late to the party.
13 minutes in, and we already see Antic grouping up as, you know, 4-5 members. There is waves being crashed into that inner tower on the bot side of the map. They're losing farm, they're sharing experience. I do not think this is the correct play to do, Skimmy, and this is the reason why we see Bliss and Ground Zero have such good early games, because they spread out so much of their resources and they always make sure their solo laners are farmed up, they are strong, they are, you know, on the clock with that 10 CS per minute. Whereas, you know, we look at Antic, solo laners grouping up right now, you know, a lot of members sharing experience, and, you know, maybe the time when these waves are crashing in the tower, we aren't seeing the members where they need to be.
Yeah, certainly not able to respect the power that Bliss have. Those small little increments continue to add up, and they're really painting a big picture, which is that 1.5k gold lead now becomes 4k. The hook just shy of connecting, and the mere presence of Aladoric on the Rakan is enough to force Raze to safety. As Violet continues to play his own little mini game of, you know, go literally anywhere nobody is.
And this is going to be the power spike for Antic. You know, both recalls coming out of carries, Kraken Slayer being completed for Raze, which is, you know, such a big power spike for this Tristana, but no, Destiny canceling his recall there, so maybe doesn't have quite enough for that Triforce yet, but when that comes online, is when Antic want to start fighting, because we look at this one item completed, we see one item completed, 4 Zonas already. As long as everyone has the items completed, they're going to be ready to fight, and I'm very scared whenever I see Dracu walk around the enemy screen, because even if his team isn't there, he's going to look for a hook.
It's always an opportunity, you know? It's not my fault I landed the hook successfully. It's your fault for not being there to back me up, you know? That's what we like to hear. And, you know, look, fair enough. Dracu's best brand of League of Legends this split has been all these engages, and rightfully so. I mean, that has been the meta. But it is nice to see that, you know, more and more champions are still coming out. Whilst we're yet to truly see, like, any kind of enchanted counterplay, we've had little moments, right? We've had, like, the likes of a Nami and Milio and even a Janna. You know, these classic picks like the Rakan, for instance, are always going to be there to add to the mix of your repetitive, boring nature of Nautilus Leona all day, every day. Certainly is that play-making potential. 15 minutes then. And 2 Drakes to Bliss. Another one to look forward to in 90 seconds.
Yeah, and I think it's important to look at Skimmy where we see Aladoric and Kebby attack the map right now? You know, do they want to enable Harry to push out his 1v1, or do they want to, you know, blanket what is happening on the top side of the map? Do they want to try find a bit of a, you know, cheeky, weak side attack play? I think that is what we're going to see right now. You see a lot of members converging on the top side of the map with, you know, a potential dive coming into Biopanther, but he's so tanky with that ulti going, quite hard to take down.
Bio is the focus and unable to use the ultimate, so he is going to be shredded on down in a heartbeat. Aladrox says it's my time to shine, jumps in with the quickness, it's a two-man charm. Easy accident for Kevin to follow things up, hit the Heartbreaker and get the party started. There is the reset onto the Karthus, and there is the denial of any kind of Requiem there to interrupt the fun. And I tell you what, I mean, for all this great work that Violet's done split pushing, he's up by so much experience into Destiny.
Yeah, and he does have those 2 arms complete already, so this is the major point for Zeri, where you just delete waves, you delete jungle camps, you farm so fast, and an Ezreal who does not have AoE, he does not have the ability to clear these jungle camps and these waves as fast as Zeri does, is going to continue to fall down in gold and tempo, and this is going to see Violet absolutely take over this game from this point.
Yeah, up by 2,200 gold. It's a staggering amount this early on into the game for sure. And maybe a sign that, you know, you didn't punish Zeri hard enough in the early game, that they've been able to reach this critical mass. There's the locket. So Tally is incredibly happy seeing that the Warmogs has been forgotten about and that the Karthus, you know, will be tempered down a fraction more. But should we see another locket from the side of Draku to then try and prevent this cannon?
Yeah, I would like to see another lock, honestly. I think the Warmogs is, you know, not the right item here. I just think when you see stuff like the Orianna ult, the cannon ult, lock is just such a nice item to have onto your carries. You know, an item, a shield that can pretty much block out one spell is really nice. But, you know, we're seeing that ground zero Ion gameplay happening right now. You know, we see Antic prioritizing gold and experience, and Bliss constantly grouping up and playing for these dragons. But that's 3 dragons already at 17 minutes, Skimmy.
Yeah. Going to be a very, very quick soul point if they can get it at the 22-minute mark, that is for sure. A bit of a rare reprieve then for Antic to try and claim back any kind of gold that is available on the map for them, pushing those waves as you mentioned, and taking full advantage of the fact that members are missing from Bliss. But they're going to answer back in their own and showcase that, you know, we're not weak. We are just anticipating that you might put up a bit more resistance when it comes to these.
Bio looking for Bio. Bio caught out of position right now with no lightning rush to get out, Skimmy.
Yeah, he is. He's going to go for the one-man ultimate. He's going to actually get knocked right back into the Intofo strikes. Oh my god, that was close. Oh, everything having to be committed there. Look how low Zonas is in the process just to make that happen. The assistance of the UAV from Florida saying, here is my Requiem. Finish him off, son. Oh, too close for comfort.
I would have trusted the Leandries a bit too much there personally, but maybe that kill would have gone over to Foreign and maybe he would have got out with a minuscule amount of health, but I think the amount of damage that item can do at this point in the game is very underrated and, you know, doesn't have the double burn items. I think that, you know, this is another build you can go for the Karthus. You do not need to build mana items on this champion. You can just go for that straight amp damage from the Leandries. You do get, you know, that percent amping damage the longer you stay in combat. Really nice to have in Karthus, and you do not lose that one when you die and go into your passive, right? So you get to run into the enemy team, get all that percentage damage on the amp, and then just throw out an absolute nuke.
Yeah, be an absolute menace, for sure. Certainly is one of the nuances of the champion that can be maybe a little bit frustrating if they can just run at you and you're like, well, what is this guy doing? But suddenly he just hits your entire team and claims the Penta. Well, once again, it does seem like Antic losing control of their jungle, to be expected to a little bit degree, given how much vision control Bliss do have around this quadrant of the map. You can see our observers toggling to showcase just how much it is in their favor, whilst everything for Antic favors the bottom half of the rift. And now, Team Bliss are setting up a bit of a trap, a pincer on mid.
4 members onto the mid lane turret. They're going to be able to take this one down, but there isn't really an engage angle for them onto Destiny, and they don't really want to go onto Draku, because, you know, we all have seen what happens when you blow cooldowns onto these tanky melee supports. They're just so good at buying time.
They certainly are. Here we go for round 2 then. Going all out is Zoranus. He'll be matched there by the slicing Maelstrom, flashing to safety across the wall. Didn't really hedge his bets there. Didn't want to take any chances as Violet claims his third, and also a champion bounty too.
Just a bit of disrespect on the map. You know, he finally found that, you know, good situation again, so he wants to be able to punish Bio, but they don't have priority in the mid lane. It's going to be a very easy collapse from a champ like Zeri who can skate over these walls and get to these fights so quickly.
Certainly can. So, Warmogs then completed here by Draku. Raze is just going to rock up to the scene of the crime and take down a very crippled cannon. Light work of him, and yeah, split push once more. And look, he's got some distance to cover, right? You take once again stock check of both Harry and Violet's position, and they're just so far of anybody else in this game. So I'm not surprised to see that Raze wants to be on his own for a little bit and say, I need to hit that second item ASAP.
Yeah, and talking about second items, I think this is a really underrated thing about mages into the current, 80 pool of mid lane, is the fact that you can go for that Seraph's really, really nice defensive item on mages. It does build up a lost chapter item, so it's a really good laning item for you as well. But also go for that Zhonya second, give yourself a lot of armor, have that stasis to deal with, a lot of the front-loaded damage from like a Tristana explosive shot or like a, the Corki QR combo. Just a really nice item to have, or a really nice item duo to have into teams, especially like the Karthus ult or, the Nautilus ult. Just makes yourself create space for the team. You can play a lot more aggressive. You don't have to rely on your flash to really outplay the enemy because you have the outplay button.
You do have the outplay button, and don't we love it when we see a Zhonya's into a Seraph's into a Banshee's Veil, and it's like just the living, breathing tank mage, and it's just like, but they still one-shot me, but they take no damage in the process. Like, how is that fair? Well, I'll tell you what, everybody is ramping their way towards that final little bit of juice that they can acquire. Trinity Force now done by Kevy on the Viego. 50 seconds on a potential soul for Bliss to claim.
Yeah, and we do see the 2 iron spikes from both Ezreal and the Tristana in the mid lane, so it's online time for Antic right now. The really cheap power spike from Zorinus recognizes they need to attack the game right now, so he does buy the Zeeks. Has the AoE slow, very good for himself in that 1v1, but also creating some space in the team fight right now. So curious to see that he isn't grouping, right? He is going for the silent, is going to walk back. So I think it's much better that he is in the team, can play that frontline champion, doesn't have to TP and play for a flank, can create space for his team straight away and then TP to the side lanes afterwards. But, looking at the items on the Bliss members right now, not seeing 2 items from Bayer, so his flank isn't that scary. But, Kevy, Harry, Violet, all really strong, and Eldork has that flash if they do want to go for this big engage.
Certainly does. Every flash up and available but Biopanthers, so no fancy slicing maelstroms to be found on this occasion. There's a deep TP flank from Kennen in particular. There's a blast going to gain access into the pit, but he's going to get jumped upon in the tri-bush. Here he goes around, hits all 3, disengage away instantly by Fauna with a flash to safety. 4-man depth charge to knock them all up and cause a bit of disruption, but Violet leads the line with that AoE cleaner build, and even with the Bloodthirster, is unable to sustain. And for all the potential from that skirmish there, Tally, nothing happens.
That's the power of Exhaust, Skimmy. You don't have Lock at this time, but you have Exhaust. It denies so much damage coming out of that, Kennen flank. And, the fact that the Tristana and the Ezreal are mobile, and Destiny's doing, if we do get the replay there, we see Destiny do so much damage to the members running into him. 3-man True Shot Barrage, constantly hitting Mystic Shots onto the members running into him. And even though Zeri is stronger than him right now, it's much easier for Ezreal to do damage to the enemy team.
Able to sit back, constantly readjust, and a little bit of a menace there, despite being down a full item. It certainly is a nice time to be the Ezreal, especially when not too much armor stacking has been acquired to really upset your item builds. And yeah, Antic do deny that potential soul being found, buy themselves an extra crucial 5 minutes, and actually bully Kevy out of the Baron pit.
And I think that we are looking at a 3,000 or 3 and a bit thousand gold lead right now for Bliss, but I think that just based on how the top lane is right now, the fact that, both these members are even, the Kennen is not a champion who is useful from an even game state, right? Especially without Zhonya's, he's going to be going for alternative item next, that is going to be the Proto Belt. That's a utility item scheme, that's not a damage item, that's an item that helps you get into these fights, it does not do damage, so this damage is not going to stick, and I think that as the game goes on, until we see Harry get really, really strong, these fights might start favoring Antic. But, I'll let you talk about that a bit later as we do go into the replay. There's the exhaust, the fact that Destiny's doing so much damage onto these members as they run into him. Even though Violet is so strong here, has to proc the barrier preemptively, so he is able to walk up and do anything there, and it just doesn't stick.
Yeah, it doesn't stick. It was the case of we can push on forward. We've gotten stuck in close combat, but unable to really navigate that safely without dying in the process. And now they really are flirting with danger, toggling those fog of war lines to try and find, that surprise factor. Once again, deep in the Antic jungle. They'll, first of all, deny away the blue buff. They'll continue this bait as a bit of a dance towards the Baron and say, well, we'll start it up, we'll clear out your vision. Blue trinkets, yellow trinkets, whatever it may be, no longer a threat. And invite you to come in, because I think for Kevy in particular, he wants somebody to come towards him so we can get the party started.
With Bliss starting this Baron here, they feel pressured to force a fight, right? If Antic do recognize where Biopanther is and do not get caught up by that flash flank, this might be a good team fight for them, Skinny.
True Shot Barrage is all being burnt. 2-man then on that fantastic slicing Maelstrom. Lightning Crash to seal the deal. And the Rakan to ensure that with the quickness, you aren't flashing out the safety. The Baron, it was always going to be a bait. They found 2. And the Requiem is enough to shred their HP bars low and at least dissuade the Baron, but it's not enough to find any kills in retaliation.
They are low, and Destiny does have the potential to still contest this Baron, right? But it's quite hard to do, especially if Harry does want to play that goalie and block him out of there. Zorinus doesn't have the ability to get into the pit without that flash. If these Mr. Shocks do land, this is a scary take for the Bliss members, but they really, really need to land, Skivvy.
This is a dicey situation. Destiny has the ability to clutch it up right now. He just continues to hit these skill shots time and time again, flashing out to safety. Same could be said then. Oh, for the side of Zorinus, who massively gets a double kill. Would you believe it? Destiny sniping one on the tail end. And we said it looks so dicey to go for the Baron, but Bliss did it anyway.
And they stop the Baron. They find themselves 3 kills on the exit there. So that's going to be an even trade overall on that skirmish, Gimme. And that's going to be very, very nice for ANC, even though Raze does get caught out there, you know, playing that flank Tristana, which is probably a very big mistake, especially when there is so many different threats coming out of the, you know, the Bliss members. A lot of CCs that he needs to worry about. But classic ANC, Gimme. They're going for the Baron themselves.
Play after play after play. It never ends. It never ceases to amaze. And this becomes the question of, okay, Antic, do you feel inspired enough? Do you feel strong enough that you can claim this one?
It's a flip.
Or can Bliss do the same back to you? Kevy biding his time, not to be marked. Still has the ability to try and jump into this one with the ultimate to get that kill. Secured, not to be done. Down to 550, I believe. It's been taken by Foreigner, and that might just be their ticket back in, down by 3,000 gold. But it doesn't matter because the resets are working in Kevy's favor. He's become the Tristana. Next
Draku.
on the menu is Draku. He's going to get a hook, not to be knocked up by the Grand Entrance, but finally find salvation underneath that mid tier 2.
3 Barons that will be secured. I believe Zorinus was up in time to get that Baron. So definitely have Baron on the Ezreal and the Lawless. Probably not going to be a Baron that they can siege with, but one that they can use to buy some time. But the major thing is, Gimme, this Soul Point is coming out. This is going to be the Chemtech Soul going over towards the Bliss members. Not an insanely strong Soul, but the Elder Dragon will start to spawn, and this might finally be the Elder Dragon game that we've been waiting for, Skimmy, because I do not believe this game is going to be ending anytime soon.
No, it definitely doesn't feel that way. It feels like a very slow burner where just, you know, cruising away, 3-4 items, whatever it may be. Not looking to rush the game end. And look, this could be a nice way for them to actually get the Dragon. Deny first time around, this time guaranteed, based on members being dead from Antic. And look, they're going to try and do whatever they can. With this Baron buff and with the 5 Void Grub stacks, look, they might have to settle for a couple of towers at least.
Yeah, and this is, you know, Bliss have stayed on the map for an extremely long time. Harry's still staying around. They want to trap Raze on the side, but he does have the access to the rocket jump. The Shockwave might land, pair that up with the engage from Aladoric.
Uh-oh, he's already bent the rocket jump. He's just dead. The buster shot, it's not enough, and frustration for Raze there. Cutting away, believing that surely nobody would dare step up to me, but oh boy, they did dare.
Yeah, and that's going to be a kill from them, but this is going to be the Bliss members having the reset anyway, so it's kind of a nothing kill. This is just Raze is unable to farm for the next minute, right? So they are denying gold onto him. We're going to see the death cap coming out of Harry. Very, very strong member, but this is the Baron flip, Skimmy. This is them holding it on that, you know, out of that smite threshold, but they try to blow this up with Harry's, you know, damage on the shockwave, but really nice smite from Connor, skills that one for his team. But Panther, TP flank, finds that slicing maelstrom onto the entire team. Not enough damage from him yet, but he does CC them and allow KB to find these resets.
And that's what you need, right? You want to make sure that Diego is a threat, and certainly when the fights are going against him, he's able to work his magic, feeling so inspired by that last play. He's actually gone for a Guardian Angel third.
Very, very strong, you know, I think that Viego, the Ori, and the Zarya are all online. They're absolutely very, very strong champions. If this Shockwave does land, it's going to do a monstrous amount of damage, especially to the members that have no magic resist on the Antic side. The one, you know, saving grace for Antic is they are extremely mobile. If Raze does get caught out, he can buffer that one. Zorinus is going to go for this with that 5 grubs and potentially look for an outplay because Harry is coming for him right now, Skimmy.
He certainly is. What can Zorinus do to try and match this one? He's going to find yet another tower as he's level 16. We are certainly working our way towards that potential late game fiesta. There's Aladoric jumping on in, looking to try and keep him preoccupied for the meantime. Gets dragged back then by the Cassandra ultimate going all out, and that is all she wrote. Really, just the invitation to say hello was enough to get him out.
Yeah, so that he gets the tower in the end, so he's very happy with that. Gonna base, spend all the extra gold he's picking up on the side lane and become even stronger. Bio is, you know, getting back into the game, right? He's getting to build some damage items now. Having to build the, you know, penetration item third is always a bad feeling as these, you know, AoE mages because you want to be going for those big ticket items, but because he has a mage in the mid lane, he cannot afford to go too much ability power without building magic pen, because when the magic resist does start coming out of these tanks like Zorinus, you know, if base levels as well, the fact that champions do get a high amount of magic resist, especially the melee champs like the Nautilus, he needs to have magic pen to deal with that.
Certainly does. It's going to be more and more relevant as the game goes on, because this one far closer than it was in game 1. This series is shaping up to be a bit of a banger. There you go then. Biopenvis thinking that surely I've done enough to evade this pesky Nautilus. Actually, not only commit the flash, but the ultimate on the tail end too. So sitting at 1 and 4, you mentioned before with the Proto Belt, is going to be a nice little bit of utility, but look, that Zhonya's is not coming anytime soon.
Yeah, no, really saved them there. There's going to be the trade of the Null Assault for the Cannonball, and I think the Null Assault might be a bit more important than the Cannonball right now, especially with the fact they need to lock down these crucial members from Bliss. So another tower trade for a potential side lane play coming out of both teams. Gonna favor Bliss just based on how much map control they have, and with these, you know, Baron spawning in a minute and a half and the Elder spawning in 2 minutes and a half, it's so important to have map control, side lane control into mid lane control. Whoever has that mid lane priority skimmy is gonna be the one to control the first setup on the objective.
Yeah, certainly is the case. Has been for such a long time, right? You gain mid, you gain the game. The map really does belong to you. And how many times have we seen this game where Team Bliss just stroll into the enemy jungle and say, you know what, I'll be taking that. And there's nothing you'll do in response. Well, it's going to be an interesting couple of minutes, isn't it? You know, a minute away from the next Baron spawn, 2 minutes on the Elder. And it becomes a case of what do you value more?
He's looking for that kill onto Bio on the side lane. Has to worry about the slice of Maelstrom, which isn't up yet, Jimmy.
Uh-oh. He's dead. Grace is going to leave it.
Double TP?
Gift it across to Foreigner. There is the TP to match. Harry's probably not too happy about this one being met by a Cassante. Either way, a nice chance to pick apart from the side. I don't think much more is going to come of this one. This is going to fizzle out.
Yeah, and that was just Bio being caught out with that slicing Maelstrom being on cooldown. You know, we saw Raze go for that preemptive buster shot because he doesn't want to be underneath the cannon when that ult goes out. But 4 seconds before that cooldown came up, which would have given him a huge amount of resistances and probably allowed him to survive that Karthus ulti and buy time for Harry to shot. But didn't have it, so he falls down, and this is going to be a potential TP being forced by him because this his death timer will be just coming up as his Baron spawns.
What would you like to see teams prioritize towards? You imagine we're just going to stalemate for the next minute whilst we wait for Elder?
I think we might see ANC pull the trigger on this Baron. They want to get that TP blown straight away, and then they should pull off it. They should not feel too comfortable to stay on this objective when that TP does come through, and we see it happening in mid lane already.
There it is. There is the TP. You can see Kennen already pinging the flank Bio saying, I'm tracking around, guys. Just give me time. But Kevy's going to be distracted to the side, taking a 1v1 into Zoranis amongst the Baron itself. The Shockwave's already being committed. And there is the slicing Maelstrom finally coming on in. Just with their dying breath, they pick up the Baron. Back to back they go. Violet nearly denying the reset of the Ezreal as well. And you can have your Baron, but nobody's going to be active apart from one player in particular who just escaped Violet's grasp.
They got that Baron, but this might be the classic Baron for Nexus trade scheme, because if not that, it'll definitely be a Baron for Elder trade, and this is going to be Elder on 5 members of Bliss, and you know, only 1 surviving member of Anti in Destiny gets that Baron buff. I think that was a bit of an overforce. They definitely had the right idea of forcing the Baron to get the teleport, but the fact that they didn't respect the members walking up, there's no real bodyguard. I think this was an overcommittal. They should have played for that team fight, especially when Zoranis takes out that major threat in Kevy to the side here in the 1v1. I think this should have been a turn skimmy.
It seems to be, yeah, that mismatch of what is our play. We're all too committed towards the Baron. And then, yeah, the ability for Bliss to not lose anybody is the biggest insult, to say the least, because now they have 5 members with an Elder to match that of your 1 with the Baron.
Yeah, and we look at Harry's inventory right now. That's 4 items completed. I think that's 5 or 6 items completed for Violet as well. The Infinity Edge being picked up, you know, as a completed item by itself, didn't have any of the components there, so he's a very rich man. This is extremely strong Zeri with Elder, and we know what Violet likes to do when he's fed like this. It's flash into the enemy team.
This is a very much flash into the enemy team, hit the Penta with the Elder, and all the sprinklers going over time to tag them up and apply that execute burn. Full build at 35 minutes, a rare game in which it has gone to the Elder, and a chance to say, all right, steady hands. What can Antic do now? Can they hold off before this, Elder expires?
Yeah, and I would say that Harry is probably one of the safest hands to have on your team. He's someone who's not going to throw when he has this lead, but Albert going over the wall, getting caught up. But there's no follow-up. There's no like very extreme amount of damage coming out of the Antic members, so this is a huge mistake from Draku, and it's going to be a free siege for Bliss now to break that inhibitor in the bot side.
Yeah, gets away with one for sure on that occasion. Really should have been punished far better than that. The 1-4 split then begins to take place with Bio holding it own in the mid lane. The rest grouping up and playing ping pong with the wave states. There's nothing to be found in bot lane. Turn our attention to the wave that's been prepped in the mid lane. and back and forth they go, just waiting for somebody from Antic to summon the courage and answer back. There is the 3-man shockwave, the Requiem to turn things around, but the slicing Maelstrom to remove Dragu from the equation nice and easily, and that is what Bliss were teasing for.
What a play from Harry. You know, you would think that, oh, there's no wave left, they're going to back off and wait for the next wave, but no, he flashes in, he finds the 3-man shockwave, almost one-shots Raze 100-0 with that Elder execute, but just not quite enough damage there. But still, they find that kill onto Dracu because he did not have the ulti, he could not deal with the dive going out, and this is the punishment that happens when you blow these crucial cooldowns in, you know, these really bad scenarios.
That certainly is. Very quick succession and pinging between both mid and bot again and again and again. That does eventually result on them finding that mid lane inhibitor. As they'll once again escort in this bot wave and see if they can get it. But the wave play from Antic is so quick that it's really forcing Bliss to go back.
Yeah, and this is going to be the Elder Siege completing, and they only got 1 inhibitor and 1 kill from it. So you would say this is a successful defense for Antic, and they buy themselves more time to find that, you know, Infinity Edge onto Raze, because he's really lacking in the damage department right now. He really lacks that threat that he needs onto the enemy team, and I think that unless they can find that Death Cap on Farmer, that Infinity Edge on Raze, then it's going to continue to be economy gapped.
Yeah, still falling further and further behind. We'll run it back on this initial clip. So once again, starts with Harry just saying, you know what, you're grouped up, there's the shockwave, lights out.
Ooh, yeah, and if Destiny did not buffer that one, that would have been lights out for him if that Dissidence did land. But I think this could have been a different fight if Dracu had that, you know, Dreads line to knock up a lot of the dive coming through, because that was 5 grouped up members and a potential 5-man knockup. But Harry, no flash on the side lane. It's just a soundboard, because it's all going to really get dismissed by a single pesky minion. Really ruined the party that Antic were hoping for. That was their ticket back in, down 7,000 gold. And whilst we are close to 40 minutes in, and maybe gold is not the biggest talking point, they've got to fight themselves out of the situation. Dracu can answer that recall. This time Harry's going to get hit, and this time he will go golden. But it's crucial time for the TP to come in. But his Biofan, he's got flash, he's got the slicing Maelstrom, and he's got everybody locked inside his static. He takes down 1. He's hunting a second, and with the assistance of Harry that's lost 0 HP, they'll take down everybody. It's like a Cassandra in a dream. The copy pasta's not real. It cannot hurt you. And it's a clean ace to run it straight to the base and secure match point. And that's going to be Bliss closing out the game with just a very, you know, clean, methodical performance then. But I will say, this is the problem with building Guardian Angel on the VAO team, is when you do possess the other members, all of a sudden you don't have a Guardian Angel anymore. So this is the reason why Kevy does die with that Guardian Angel being off cooldown. So very unfortunate reaction, you know, interaction for him, but a very, very good performance out of both Harry and Kevy in particular, and especially Aldoric. I think they're very slow scaling out of the team, but just a lot of, you know, covering for each other as a team, playing together to make sure they don't get punished by the aggression coming out of the Antic side, and finding yourself in that mid-late game position and having a very clean 2-0 performance.
You know, they do on the night then, back-to-back 2-0s from both upper bracket participants, and a chance for Bliss to showcase that, look, yes, Game 2 was a lot closer than we may have anticipated. Game 1 certainly was where we played our best brand of League of Legends, but they tried something a little bit different. They invited the pressure from Antic, who rose to the challenge, but it didn't prove to be enough in the end to drag it out to a Game 3. And that will do it for this one. We'll jump